So, do flaps on RC airplane really make a difference? I've been asking myself the same question, so I've decided best I find out myself. So, I've used Blender and designed a little classic high-wing airplane like this. It's going to feature the flaps spanning at 14 centimeters, the stepped airfoil, so I will investigate how this kind of wing is going to perform. Also, I'm going to incorporate this 75% of the span slots, hoping to achieve stole characteristics. We'll see how it's going to pan out. So let's print out some plans and get on with the build. Well, the build is pretty straightforward. It's just a classic profile design. 5 pieces of foam put together that makes the fuselage. I'm gonna use bits of a packing tape to decorate and do this windows. I tripled the fuselage with them, just for the wing to have a better grip later on. Now, since I'm using foamboard for the first time ever, I've decided to build myself this little model cross sections just to see how the material is going to behave. So I'm using the template for the wing profile, and I shape my material with simple bevels, some hot glue, and it is ready. Yeah, the cross profile matches the design, so that's how I'm going to go with the wing. For the control surfaces all over the model, I'm just using bevel, a little bit of sanding, and I'm going to reinforce the hinges with the packing tape. The leading edge of the wing I'm going to reinforce with the fiberglass tape, because I like to smash my airplanes, and that really helps to keep the wing in one piece. For the slats, I was thinking what to use as a material. I tried plastic, I tried foam board, but I figured for the best results, it's just the 2mm balsa reinforced with the tape. It gives me a nice shape, the way I wanted it to be. And I'm using the double-sided tape stacked up to give myself a 4mm gap between the wing and the slat. And it worked really good for me. Before we move on to the finishing touches, please help me decide what to build in the next one, whether you would like to see a Hurricane or the Yak 9. I really feel like building a Warbird, so I hope you guys will help me decide. When you're casting your vote in the comments, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot to me and drives me to making some more interesting projects. When doing the undercarriage, I've decided to make myself a cool steerable nose wheel. It did work out pretty well in the end, to be fair with. I did have a steerable nose wheel, but the effort was pointless, because what you'll see later on, I ended up cutting this nose wheel out anyhow. But yeah, I've done it. I had cool steerable nose wheel for a second, and I've learned how to make myself nice wire stops out of the electric wire connectors, so at least that's a benefit here. The main landing gear arm is just bent in a way, so we just slot it in onto your fuselage. This is what it's supposed to look like. A lot of you guys have been asking me, what's the landing gear idea for my design? So this is what it is. I'm gonna reinforce the fuselage with some tape, just slide them in, and secure them with a bit more tape on top. And it works pretty good for me, that kind of a solution. Then there goes the rest of the rigging, push rods, stickers, and here I'm using my super cool wire stops to make the nose wheel controllable. It did work out alright. This is what the setup looks like. Now before we move on, let me make a brand new spinner for it. If you're interested how to make those spinners yourself, there's a link in the description to the video on how to make those kind of spinners. Let's finish the setup. The struts I'm making out of bamboo skewers. I install them using some paper tape at ends and some hot glue. So I place the fuselage end at the center of the wing and spread them evenly onto the wing. The wiring I secure with the tape. I figured the fiberglass works best for me. It gives me really nice results. For the electronics, I'm going to use double-sided tape and Velcro, and this is what the setup looks like. Of course the DFO sticker has got to be there too. Now let's make some finishing touches, and let's drive to the airfield. So yeah, I've picked a beautiful but windy morning for the maiden flight, and it turned out to be a disaster. I had a really hard time even taxiing the airplane. It took me many attempts, and that's why I'm saying that the nose wheel was kind of useless in the first place. The airplane on the windy day even tried to kill me too. and I'm really happy I amused my wife with that. On a calm day, I got it to fly, but then I panicked and I smashed it properly. Well, at least I know the roll rate is there. So after the unsuccessful maiden, a couple of bumps and crashes, I've decided to take the thing back to the workshop. So yeah, maiden on a windy day, not the brightest idea. So back to workshop for some fixes and modifications. I've decided to reinforce the motor mount, disassemble my super cool nose wheel, and convert the airplane into a tail dragger. Also, I'm gonna extend the wings by 16 centimeters, just to give myself a bit more stability and a bit more lift. So this time, for Remaiden, I chose a beautiful, calm morning. So let's get on flying. Turns out that after the mods, I got myself a pretty decent trainer. So let's try to answer the question of flaps making a difference. I've decided to spread the soda cans 1 meter apart just to give me markers on the takeoff runs. And let's see how it went. Now, let's put on some extended slats. So yeah, the results are showing that the flaps do make a difference. I think you can safely say they have the takeoff distance. And in a flyby here, you can see no flaps, and with the flaps extended. And the flaps just slow it down significantly as well. The slats though, not a really massive difference, although I can tell it just feels that the wing generates a bit more lift. So I'm definitely gonna reinvestigate the idea. And at the end, I've decided to make it tricycle again, but then I've tried trimming in flight and this is the result. Total write-off. Thanks and see you in the next one.